Coming up on the Santana Moss Show podcast, I talked to Tana about a topic he knows a lot about, training camp.
Also, Two Spoons is fed up about the new the helmet rule.
Very few people on earth are winning like LeBron James, but he does have a regret that may surprise you.
The Obamas was in the house this past weekend to witness J&B do their thing in the DMV.
As usual, we're talking taking L's, and as usual, mine are bigger than his. But whatever, the Santana Moss Show podcast starts right now.
It's the Santana Moss Show. Number 89, hustle all the time. Travis on the right, hot mic on the left. Every single week, it's a lyrical thing.
Pop it, Tana. Now I'm ready to go.
Now I'm ready to go.
Santana Moss Show podcast. Travis Thomas, Santana Escobar Moss. I'm still going to call you that at least another week.
That's really rip, man. I like it.
It's no statute of limitations on Santana Escobar. I got to say, man, do they still do ringtones on phones? Because I kind of want to get this theme song as my ringtone.
Brother.
That's not cool anymore, right?
If you ride with me, please don't have this as a ringtone. I have a friend of mine that drives me around, and every time I hear his ringtone, I'm like, bro, you know that played out like 10 years ago?
Who still has ringtones?
He's a grown man. I'm like, bro, you know, you can put that on vibrate so I won't hear it and you won't hear it. You can just feel it.
What song is it? Do you remember?
I don't even remember right now because it bothers me so much. Every time it comes on, I'm like, really?
It's probably Lil Jon.
Really?
It's something so old.
And it's loud.
It's like yin yang to it.
And then he always had to stop whatever he's doing. No matter what we're doing, he has to stop to listen to that. And so it makes me even that more angry. Like, bro, you just stopped because of that ringtone came on your phone. Put it on vibrate, please.
Wow.
Save my ears.
That is ugly. I remember, forget ringtones. What about, you remember ringbacks? When you would like call someone, it'd be like an R&B song?
Yes. I used to put down R&B songs on us and let you know.
I knew you would.
If I don't pick up, listen to this song. This is how I'm feeling right now.
Bro, I knew you were that guy.
Boom, 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 boom. And then they just keep calling because they want to hear it. Boom, 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 boom.
And then if a girl is mad at you and make her think about it, like, you know what?
And then they mad at you, they going to leave a long-ass message. I just sat there and listened to that bullshit. You get... Don't be mad at me. You liked it a couple of weeks ago.
Sure enough did. It worked then. Then you like Jagged Edge. Now you're mad at them and me.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. Let's switch gears. Training camp is upon us, my friend. We were out there together in Richmond for the Redskins. And I just told you, I was like, bro, football literally starts this week with the Ravens and the Bears in the Hall of Fame game. So I got to ask you this, Tana. I know you get this all the time, but what's your biggest question, you know, with this training camp? Now, you've been out there a little bit. You've seen the guys play. The season is right around the corner doing push-ups. I mean, what's your biggest question, you know, coming into this camp, being in camp and walking away from it, if you will?
My biggest question would always be the health of the star player on the offensive side, and that's Jordan Reed. You know, last year we went through so much about the quarterback. Who's going to be here? Are we signing Kirk back? That went on for about 2 to 3 years, and now all that got handled and taken care of. Kirk's part of his ways. We brought in Alex Smith. The biggest question is the health of the key players on the offensive side, and I think the two guys that stand out the most to me will be Jordan Reed and Thompson. You know, and CT. Jordan Reed more than anybody because of what he meant to the team last year, and not having him, it seemed like he was a big reason that the offense couldn't really get off the ground as much as they did. They did great things last year with CT, you know, being that guy, that X factor, and then he went down. But I think right now, with all this looming around us, as far as the season is, you know, days away, you know, especially the preseason season,
literally
is days away. I think the biggest question, my biggest storyline will always be the health of Jordan Reed.
You know what's so funny, bro, is I got into this argument with Michael Jenkins, my co-host on DC Sports Live, a show you can see on NBC Sports Washington Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. But we got into this argument because I said on that show, when healthy, Jordan Reed is the second best tight end in the league.
And I have to expect you talking about Gronk as being number one. No doubt.
And Michael Jenkins was like, what? What? I'm like, why are you going all crazy? Think about it.
Yes.
Who can you name better?
He might.
And everyone he named, you know, it's like Greg Olsen. I mean, he named some good players. but they're available. They're healthy. When Jordan Reed is 100%, am I wrong?
And I might put this out there. Jordan Reed is second best to only Gronk with, to me, mediocre quarterback play.
The point.
I can't say mediocre because I do like some of the things that Kirk has done over the years.
You liked Kirk.
I just feel like when it comes to if he had a Brady,
right,
and he was healthy, it's no question what kind of numbers he could have put up. So I'm not saying mediocre because of Kirk's play. No, I'm just saying because of all around of what they was allowed to do with him and Kirk together. So trust me, man, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's a phenomenal talent. And one of the things that stand out the most to me about a Jordan Reed is that you can line this guy outside and he can dominate cornerbacks. Right. You can line him up inside. He's dominating your nickel guy or your linebacker. And then you put him on the line, and then you say, let's just pick our poison. So he has so many things to his game that he can really excel at, and that's what makes him dominant. Now, Gronk to me is a created player and made up. He's somebody that you make up on Madden.
He sure is.
And he just some kind of implanted him in the NFL and say, well, hey, someone created this player, and now he's here. We had to deal with him. So I can't just say that the things that he's shown week in and week out,
he's a freak,
year after year. You can't really not notice that. But I just feel like with what Jordan Reed has showed thus far, and not even being healthy, not having a clean bill of health all these years, he's a guy, man, that you just can't. You can't go into your season without having him contribute, and that's one of the things that the Redskins been dealt with the last few years.
I agree with you. Gronk definitely looks like something right out of Westworld, like he's a cyborg or something. But I'll say this about Jordan Reed. Tana, if was a fifth, I mean, bring me a shot glass. My God, all we say about the guy is if he's healthy, he's healthy. The bottom line is this. This is a guy who's had, 5 or 6 registered concussions. So he's someone that I think not only are you concerned about his health on the field, but even when you get off the field, which is a beautiful transition to a teammate of his and DJ Swearinger, someone who's family of the program, a good friend of yours, 2 Spoons, saying that he thinks the new helmet-to-helmet rule in football is killing the game.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's kind of it's lurid. It's lurid. It doesn't give you. Say for instance, I was one of those guys sitting in those meeting rooms. I've been there, 14 years of that. I sat in that meeting room early in the preseason when those officials come in and say, hey, we're going to be at your practice today. We're going to be officiating. We're going to be calling, things that we see that are fouls, things that we see are penalties. We're just going to be there to basically officiate, your practice.
Right.
But this is some of the things that's going on in the NFL today. Boom, they put on this film. And you sitting there and you basically see yourself doing something wrong that they done pinpointed and they saying you can't do it this year. And I can just imagine when they put up that new rule. This is a new rule that's been, put into our game, and this is what you're going to be fined for, or you're going to get penalized for. I can just imagine being a defensive player and say, you mean to tell me I have to hit you like this? I can't not duck my head because it's almost impossible to play the game that we play without ducking your head and without colliding, because most of the times those guys hit helmet to helmet when the guy that they hitting, he's almost frightened to get hit, and so he's balling up and putting his head down, ducking it half of the time. So I can only imagine why DJ Swearinger feels the way he feels, because it's almost impossible to not butt heads at times. But the one thing that kind of floats in my head is that what official we're going to get? How are they going to officiate critical situations?
Right.
It's going to be critical moments in the game where that I'm making a play because it's just a matter of seconds.
It's a bang-bang play.
It's instincts.
Yep.
And I have to make this play.
You got to make it.
It's 3rd and 5.
Right.
And this guy stopped on a dime on 4 yards, and he's going to catch and turn up field. I'm leaving my feet.
Right.
I might leave on my shoulders, but he might turn around into my helmet.
Right.
How are you going to make that call? And so that's one of the things that a guy like DJ Swearinger, he will ask those questions because he's saying to himself, I know I'm going to be in that position when you have to lower your shoulder pads to make a tackle. If I'm lowering my shoulder pads and you're a running back and you coming through the hole, not even if you turn it, if you coming through the hole and you see me lowering my shoulder pads, your instinct's going to tell you to lower your shoulder pads too. Guess what's going to happen?
Collision.
Our heads might bump. We might not be trying to go head-to-head, but we might collide some kind of way. So how are you going to make that call? What are you going to call? And any defender or any guy on the defensive side will wonder and feel like, hey, do I have to do everything at someone's ankle or knees now because of this call? And it might cause more problems in this game.
I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. We're already seeing it. Tackling already isn't great in the NFL. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Tana, I think we're going to see an evolution of wide receivers and even running backs, tight ends. I think guys are going to get smaller. And I mean that in height and in size, because the Megatron, Julio Jones, T.O., Randy Moss build guys, what was always the thing? Man, you better go low on that dude because, you headhunt, you're dead. If you get a smaller, shifty receiver like what we see in New England, I mean, what do you do with those guys? It's already hard enough to catch them and rap tackle them, and now you can't lower your shoulder and light them up, because that was the thing for a little guy. It was just light his ass up. He won't catch it again.
Put a helmet on.
Well, you can't do that now. So I think you're going to see an evolution in football where, listen, man, I think the smaller guys are going to get back in this game and really have an impact. One thing that stands out to me, I remember when Fred Smoot was here in studio with us, and he talked about this and just – the rules for the defenders now, and he said, man, you can't touch anybody. He said, if I played in this NFL now, I would have played a lot longer and got more contracts. And you've said the same thing, too.
We're all still playing. And it's funny because I look at it like this. The NFL is not wrong. They're not wrong because they're trying to keep this game to exist. This game might be extinct when it comes to some of the things that's going on when it comes to the CTE. All that stuff is serious. Yeah. And from what's going on out there with the guys, who's dealing with it, most of the retired guys who's having claims now, who's finding out that they have symptoms from this stuff, they are trying to do the best that they can to make sure that they prevent some of the things that have happened in the past.
Right.
You can't fault them for it, but at the same time, you have to look at it like this. When we was kids, we grew up playing the game, football. We played sandlot. What did we do in sandlot? We tackled.
Yeah.
We didn't use our head a lot.
Nope.
So if we was able to tackle out there with no pads on playing the sandlot game,
no one really got hurt like that.
We should find a way to be able to do this now in the NFL, which it's not something that you would want to, end up playing a game of sandlot, because it's not going to be the same game. But at the end of the day, they're almost making the game like sandlot. Don't use your head doing it. Tackle them the best way you can. Get them down, but don't use your helmets. And that's why some of these guys have so much concern. I'm with these guys. I'm an outsider now. I'm a guy that played the game and so happy that I got through the game with the little concussions that I did have to deal with. But it happens in the game. Most of the concussions I took was from my helmet hitting the ground more than a guy hitting me head to head, So it's one of those situations that how can you prevent something? Yes, you can change the rules all you want to, but things are going to happen because this game is so fast, and it's just a matter of inches when things happen, and it's all about instinct half of the time.
Right.
And I've seen play after play. I've seen bad call after bad call. I seen a game a few years ago where Antonio Brown quarter pass and he balled up. And when he balled up, the guy hit him helmet to helmet, and that was him protecting himself, and that was that guy trying to make a great tackle.
Right.
And it cost the game. It cost that other team the position of the ball, and they got penalized for it and gave those guys a chance to, go to pretty much advance the ball or go up. So when you have those situations occur time and time after again, I'm wondering how long would this last?
Yeah, no question. And another sign of the times that things are changing. Bears rookie Raekwon Smith remains unsigned because of language in his contract that will allow the team to reclaim guaranteed money if the linebacker is suspended over the new helmet-to-helmet contact rule. So we're seeing it change the game. Speaking of change the game, your boy, the King, LeBron James, now Los Angeles Laker, says in his show, The Shop, he regrets naming his son LeBron James Jr. Say what? Take a listen, Tana.
What do you say to your kid, though, like living up to you being their dad? And they're playing the same sport that you played better than anyone else in the world has ever played it. How do you give them a peace of mind that they don't have to be you?
I still regret giving my 14-year-old my name because of that.
Right.
Like when I was younger, obviously didn't have a dad. So my whole thing was like, whenever I have a kid, not only is he gonna be a junior, I'm gonna do everything that this man didn't do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They're gonna experience things that I didn't experience. The only thing I can do is give them the blueprint, and it's up to them to take their own course whenever that time happens.
Tana, what's interesting about that, man, is I just cringe when I hear I regret naming my child.
Yeah.
Whatever the name is. And the thing is, I can't really relate to LeBron because, and I know this is the same for you, we both had our dads in our lives. And we were tight with them, and they still are, and they taught us everything. But I guess I sort of see, I want to name them after me because, my dad wasn't there, but I don't know. I just cringe when I hear, I regret naming my child blank. To me, like, that's his name, whatever. Like, if anything, that should push his son more, I would think.
I feel him. When it comes down to it because everyone else gets a chance to be a LeBron James. He's one of those icons that, this day and time, when it comes to what we watching on TV, LeBron James has been, it's brought up for numerous occasions.
Now, you have a junior, though.
Yeah.
Do you regret naming him that?
I don't. I don't regret it because every man that has a son wants to have a junior. I'm not saying everybody, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I thought growing up, that was one of the things I wanted. My dad had a junior. It wasn't me or my first brother or second brother. It was our baby brother. He ended up getting the name. But it's one of those things. Like what I tell my son and what I've told him, like, look, growing up, I always been Santana Moss.
Right.
Now, the Santana Moss that you know of as your dad wasn't always that Santana Moss. I had to work hard for mine. I had to go out there and become the Santana Moss that you hear and see daily. With that said, the one thing that you have that I didn't have as a Santana Moss Jr. is they're going to know who you are. Right. Now it's up to you to portray who you want to be recognized as. And I understand it's going to be a challenge because people expectations is going to always be that if you play football, then I want to see the Santana Moss Sr. and Santana Moss Jr. I understand that, but just know we're two different people, and you get to set the tone to who you want them to remember you as. As long as you go out there and do the things the right way, as long as you go out there and do the things your way, then you should not have no question in your mind that you're doing what's right behind your name because that's still your name. You're Santana Moss Jr. You would never be me, and he understand that. One of the things I took from my son years, he wasn't even probably 10 years old yet, and he was doing taekwondo out here in Ashburn, Virginia. And
you said he was a badass.
And I got, and me and my friends, we beat up on him at an early age. It was just something I thought that you should do. I got pounded on by uncles, cousins, everybody who was older than me. They
trying to tough you up.
They did it. They made me fear nothing and made sure that when someone else pounded on me, then I could pound them back because I felt worse. So we did that to my son. And I remember him being in taekwondo, and I remember coming to one of his matches, and I didn't get a chance to come to a lot of them. And I show up, and all the kids see me, and I didn't notice they noticed I was in the building. And when he got a chance to compete, Santana. So I'm like, well, he must be the dude in his thing. Let me see what he got going on. And he got out there, and he tied with a guy.
Okay.
And he dropped to his knees. Oh, mad. He was pissed off. He's a sore loser. And that's something that we don't share. Because I lost a lot of games being a Redskin. But I'm not going to get onto that. But he dropped to his knees, and I was like, no, don't do that. And the sensei was like, okay, sudden death. Just because of him. Just because he dropped to his knees and he carried on. But at the same time, I feel him. He wanted to show off for me, for Dad. I'm in the building. He wanted to show off. So they gave him sudden death, and he goes out there and roundhouse to kick this kid before the guy even says, before the guy hand dropped all the way down, my son was already in his chest. And everybody, he won. And he was, and I'm like, so after the match was over with, I went to him and I talked to him about being a sore loser first.
Right.
I said, I didn't like what you did. I said, why did you do that? I wanted to win. I didn't tie with him. I said, no, he did. He got points on you. I watched it. Yep. I don't know much about taekwondo, but I know the point system. He caught you a couple of times to tie the match up. You should have protected yourself a little different. Yeah, I know, but I always beat him. Okay, I understand. You didn't want to lose. I'm cool with that. Then I asked him, I say, why did everybody, you and this guy both was in the same class. They wasn't competing against another, team. It was in the same class. It was just competition for, gaining a different belt. I said, why did everyone root for you and not root for the other kid? And he said to me, and it sticks in the back of my head to this day, he said, Dad, they only root for you because you're my dad. And I said, what you mean? He said, those not really my friends. They know that I'm Santana Moss's son. And I said, wow. And it hit me hard because He realized it, and he's not even 10 years old. And I said, does that bother you? He said, no. And that's all I wanted to hear. And I didn't elaborate more on it because as long as he gave me his honest God truth, that it didn't bother him, I said, okay. And I let it rest for a couple of days, and I came back to it. And I sat down, and I had that talk. And I said, you got to understand something. The expectation is always going to be, because you're my son, you're a junior, they want to see greatness. They want to see the guy who they saw for the Redskins, for the Jets, for the University of Miami. You got to understand something. It took me years to be that guy. Yeah. Hard work, dedication, and giving up a lot of other stuff. Yeah. So as long as you put your first foot forward and you go after whatever you want in life, regardless of who you name after or who your dad is, set your own tone. Let them know who you are and make sure you do it well. And that's how I left it at.
No doubt. I mean, that's a great teaching moment for you and a great father-son moment. I mean, listen, for me, I didn't make my son a junior because the name Travis sucks. And you know what? If you're named Travis out there watching this, you know it as well as I do.
Hold on, let's go back and Travis Thomas.
Close my eyes and can the name say something?
Okay, wait a minute, Smooth. Close your eyes.
All right.
Travis Thomas.
Regular dude. Regular unleaded. All right? That's 85 at the game.
Ain't no high test.
Yeah. That's for weed eater and lawnmower.
Unleaded.
Regular unleaded.
Smook said regular. I never forget it. And now Smooth said you were regular unleaded. But
I gave my son a badass name. But
I don't feel like that about Travis.
Well, here's the thing, though. I will say this. I think there's pressure on you if your dad is someone anyways. You and I both, I made reference to this at the start of this. We were both raised by fathers. We're, gosh, so blessed and grateful to have our dads in our lives. Your dad was a badass, P.O. My dad was a business owner in a small town that everyone knew, a predominantly white town. He was a black business owner. Yeah. I mean, we both came up with that pressure. We both have, I think now, absolutely lived up to expectations, but we had bumps and bruises along the way where we disappointed our fathers. I don't care what you can name your son Boo Boo the Fool. At the end of the day, he's going to have pressure if your dad is someone successful anyways. So to me, what's in a name? I just don't like I regret naming my child anything. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I don't give him no slack for it because, boy, LeBron James is a big name.
Of course,
it's some big shoes
tough
to fill.
Yeah, but that's
it's
anyone,
some big
man.
shoes to fill, and you're right. And that's just like Michael Jordan naming his son Michael Jordan. He didn't do that. But I'm saying it's hard for any kid.
It's hard for any. I mean, whoever your dad is.
But the one thing you can say about him, I mean, he's following those footsteps right now. So Lil Bronny is doing that, and so
no doubt he's
hats off to him.
All right, so one big name to the next, Barack Obama. Now, I don't know if you saw this video. Barack and Michelle were partying.
They were vibing.
Partying at the On the Run Tour 2 Beyoncé Jay-Z concert at FedEx. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you your opinion of the video, but then I heard you were at the concert. Yeah. Did you see Barack?
I didn't get a chance to see him. Everyone, social media was in full effect, and everyone shared that they was there. So I kind of hate that about social media because what if somebody wanted to, do some harm?
It's creeping.
Yeah, man, everyone knows, and you hear it, but I'm sure that they had those people all throughout that stadium making sure that they was protecting.
You better believe it.
But I love seeing it. I love knowing that they can go out and be normal. You know what I mean? I mean, when he was in office for those years, man, he was like no other president that I've ever witnessed being in that seat, being in that office, and just to see these guys go about their daily, just like anyone else. I was always curious to say, what does a president do after his term?
Right.
How is life different? Do he have to always be on guard? Do he have to always have people at his door? I'm pretty sure. But do they do normal things? Do they go out to concerts? Do they go out to dinner? Do they show up at the local Red Lobster? You know what I mean? Like something that the normal person does every day. And I guess Michelle and Barack is letting us rest our minds and saying that, hey, we here to support our people, JMB, and they was going to go out there and have a good time. And, I think they still local at the same time, too, when it comes to where they living. So it was only right for them to go out and enjoy a nice concert.
What'd you think of the concert? Because my wife went and she said for the first time, she is forget about it, just diehard Beyonce fan. Yeah. But she said for the first time, because she's seen them, she went to On the Run tour, the first one, and she went to the Lemonade tour. She said that she thought Jay-Z was actually better than Beyonce this time. She said something was off with Beyonce. What did you think of the concert?
It's hard to knock J&B. Me personally, honestly, I really didn't too much care to go to that concert because so many times I've been to their concert already. I was at the On the Run tour I went to a couple of other Beyonces and Jays by themselves. But I won't knock them. You know, that's one of the things I won't do because they're the elite of elites when it comes to what they do. They put on a great show. Whether I was, interested in it or not, they did their thing. To be honest with you, after a couple of drinks and the nice food they had in the suite, I was kind of tired.
Tito!
I was kind of tired. I was yawning a little bit. But the show itself...
Santana was bored.
No, and it's not because of the show, because the show itself was electrifying. I mean, just the whole atmosphere of seeing that in FedEx was, I had to go there regardless because it was in FedEx.
Right.
It was in a stadium that I've seen them in arenas, and I never saw them in a stadium. And so just knowing the fact that it was at home, somewhere where I played a lot of games at, to see it and to see how the fans showed up and see how everybody supported, just to see their whole get up. I mean, one of the things I give them, they are two creative minds, and when you saw the stage and how it was set up and just how they had the two runways and one moment B was on her side and Jay was on his side and just the way they interact and played off each other, that's what I went for. I didn't go to be amused by their music because I hear it. I listen to it. I've seen the concert already. I went to see the show itself and how they did everything and just to see how they had their band up in the little boxes up there playing and the guys that, that was dancing in the little boxes. It was like the little tic-tac-toe boxes.
Right.
It was nice, man. It was well put together. So I tip my hat off to everyone who's behind the scenes who staged that and for the performers themselves. It has to be a lot that they have to do coming from they went cross country at one point just to get to Ohio or somewhere they was playing at a couple of days prior to that. And then just to be in D.C. to put on that same act, it takes a lot, It takes a lot to do what I've done for so many years. So I can only imagine what it takes to be performers, entertainers, night in and night out. So you tip your hat off to them and you say, hey, thank you for a well put together show.
Jay-Z and Beyonce, good chemistry on stage. That's interesting because he still cheated. Just thought I'd say that. Still cheated on her. I want to say this as we transition into taking L's. So that concert was Saturday night, correct?
Yes.
Great. That's where I took my L, my friend. While you were partying with Beyonce and Jay, this is how I played it. My wife said, hey, I'm going to get tickets to Jay-Z and Beyonce months ago. I said, you go. I have no interest in seeing them. I'll stay home with the son. There's a big UFC fight that night. There's a boxing match. I love that stuff. I'm like, it would be great. I'll put him to bed, have some drinks, watch the fights. Boom, little Trav time, right? Wouldn't you know it, Santana Moss? Put the son to bed. Everything's going to script. Pour my first drink. I sit down to watch some violence. UFC comes on. It's a big fight night. UFC fight card. Power goes out. Okay, wait a minute. It's not storming outside. I didn't hear a car crash
you
or anything.
The blinds and everything.
I said, what's going on?
What's going on out there?
Whole block. Dark. Pitch dark. Wow. I'm like, what in the hell? Call the power company. Oh, yeah, sir, we got a couple calls. We're on the way out there. We should be there within the next 2 hours. Okay, you'll be there with it. Okay. Get there 2 hours later. I start working on it. An hour later, boom, power comes back on. Guess what's over? Everything I wanted to see. And it's bedtime. Wow. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I finally get some time for myself. All hell breaks loose.
That sucks.
Taking L's for you, sir. What is it?
Well, we talking about taking L's, and I have a lot in my day. But the one L that I seem to not shake is every week. Every week. And I keep telling you every time I'm on this show, I'm like, I have to get rid of my direct TV. For some odd reason, it doesn't matter if I'm home when power comes on or if I'm away and it's being recorded. When I start to watch power, my TV, my connection fades.
What
it
is
goes
happening?
Out. The Genie too. Direct TV, I'm on this podcast, and I don't mean to call you out. I'm one of your customers, loyal customers for over 20-something years. This is me talking to you. This is how I talk to you on the phone when I call.
Nice and calm.
I'm so mad right now, but I respect whoever on the other end of this conversation, this phone that's trying to help me. Can you please find a way to correct the problems I'm having? Now, I don't know how many people are tuned into Power when I'm tuned into it, but why does mine always cut off? Why do I pay my bill and have to deal with the start this thing over as I struggle down to the basement to hit the box that they should have put in my front room where I'm at most of the time?
Right.
But they decided, hey, we'll put it in the basement.
Right.
I have to go down there and reset it, and then I comes back up, and now it blickers and clicks off and on until it said, okay, you restored power. And now power is halfway done. So I'm taking L every time power comes on, and I got to the point now, I said, I'm going to beat it. I'm going to record it, and I just wait to see it, and I recorded and did the same thing. So I think I'm done with taking L's from DirecTV. Besides the L I took from DirecTV, today I took an L getting here to the office. What happened? I tried to get here as late as possible. I said I mapped it out. 12:30, I would be there. I went and had my breakfast at IHOP. I had my little egg whites and my turkey bacon and my two pancakes. You know, my under 500 calories meal. Yep. And I say, I'm going ahead. I put on my 90s music. I'm chuckling down here. And I get here and I just see roadblock. And as I'm texting to Oscar and everybody like, hey, how do I get here? I never went no other way.
Here.
I said, let me go ahead and check into Waze. Waze should lead me the way. Waze led me down the back road and up the back road. And I said, okay, I'm going to beat all this traffic and go around the other side. And, hey, there's a block over there.
Yep.
And then I look again. I said, let me open this thing up on the phone and see where the back road is at, because it's not telling me where to go. So I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up and find out for myself. And as I found out for myself, I found out it's a back route. So now I know how to get out of here.
I followed your ass in.
And then as I'm parking, I'm like, oh, this white car been following me all this while. It's you. So I guess you saw me and say, hey, I'm going to follow that.
I had no idea. I was already up, creek without a paddle. And when I saw you, I said, well, at least I'll have someone with me if we're lost. Yeah. So I followed you in, and thank God you knew the way. I will say this, DirecTV, we would love your patronage on the show if you would like to sponsor it. But if not, please, Santana's being very calm with you. Do not make him turn into Ghost from the show Power and come get you. You don't want it. Matter of fact, Santana Moss Show podcast in the books, another one. DJ Khaled voice, another one. Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, IGTV. We're on everything. Everywhere you get your podcast, go get this one because it's off the hook. Santana Moss Show podcast, Travis Thomas, Santana Escobar. We out.
It's a Santana Moss Show. Number 89, hustle all the time. Travis on the right, hot mic on the left. Every single week, it's a lyric.